So tonight we're down in my basement, so here we go. Well, and welcome everyone again to another edition of the Zoo Crew Redo podcast. Here, I could get on clip. Well, you know what? We're supposed to have social distance, so we're fine. We'll social distance ourselves. Scott Hastings, Andy Lindahl hanging out with you. For those that don't know, we are going to try to up how many podcasts we do. So hopefully you subscribe to us on both Spotify and iTunes, and you caught the podcast that I posted on Tuesday. I guess that's yesterday, right? Today's Wednesday. I don't even know anymore. It's all running together.
Wednesday.
We're going to put part 2 of that podcast up tomorrow, and then you can catch this one on the flip side a little bit later on. Dude, it's been a weird week. I just feel like every day something new is coming in and happening.
You're like in full trip mode.
No, I'm over it. I'm already done. We ain't even been quarantined, and I've had enough.
Well, then you get the news today that schools, at least Littleton schools, or Jeffco schools,
everybody, governors shut them all down.
17th, yeah,
shut them all down except for virtual learning.
Another month with the kids at home.
Okay, so one of the things, and do you realize how
they're still awake upstairs?
No, I know.
Yeah,
do you realize how dumb you are when you try to help your kids with modern schoolwork? And now, not only do you have to try to help with the modern? Now, see, I know your little one. She's going to get closer. You're probably not in the weeds with it yet. Some of the modern math, I'm just like, I don't know what this is.
4 plus 3 is still 7, right?
Yeah, well, it is.
It's still 7. Right?
But, you know, my son who's 10 comes home with stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know. You're going to fail. Get ready to go back to 5th grade.
Get ready to live in a van down by the river.
Van River that way. It's called the Platte. Get to know what it is. So anyway.
And I'll show you all the parking spots.
So you and I both been working from home with our kids upstairs.
Yeah.
Has that been a bit of adventure trying to do radio?
No, mine, it's been great with Ellie because they actually are doing online stuff, kindergarten, which is a little scary when you talk about the advancement of whatever generation they're going to be called.
Right. That I saw a joke. You want it real quick?
Well,
when we have the baby boom, they'll be the quarantines.
Yeah, you know what? They might be the quarantines. They might be, or at least
the quarantiners.
The generation that's born in 9 months from now will be the quarantines.
Right, coming up in December or whatever.
Hey, watch that generation, because the baby boomers still like to do something.
For sure.
so
maybe we didn't need the pill.
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah. No, so she's already, she gets on her computer, she logs in, she types her name in, and then they do whatever, kindergartners do. Now, it's mostly like color a picture of your family or draw this, but it tells you what to do on that thing, which is kind of crazy. So she does that while I'm on the radio.
Really?
Yeah, and then we go out and just shoot baskets. We shot baskets today. Went to a chiropractor, hurt my neck. Boy, I slept with my neck wrong. Went to the park, played a little bit.
So you don't have a hoop on your garage?
No, I got one on the side, but it's a side basket. But it's one of those typical. You drive up a little bit of a ramp to get to your house, and so it's like on one side of the basket you can shoot 9-footers, on the bottom half you shoot 11-footers. So you want to shoot straight on for your best opportunity to be close to 10 feet. But yeah, and she has to shoot it underhand to get to the basket.
See, we have the same problem here. Like now, a bunch of people have the hoops, and no one puts them on their garage anymore. Which I wonder if that's something on my HOA or what. But as Scott can attest, I live in the middle of a hill. So if you miss a shot, you're chasing it down the hill.
No,
it's bad.
What I've learned is you take the truck, the pickup, and you pull it right in front of the drive. So at least you only get dents in your car,
right,
as opposed to having to chase the ball down.
I want him to run more than I want dents in my truck. How about that?
Well, I think that's wise. A little conditioning. Shoot a brick, get it, son.
Yeah. You better shoot better.
Why do you keep shooting air balls, Dad?
Well,
was that my 10th one? Yeah. Okay. Well, you got 5 more air balls, and we can come back inside.
Look. With Dad lately, the air balls may not. I can't say they weren't intentional, and maybe they were. But yeah, I stink. Have you shot? Well, you have shot lately. Do you ever warm up with the Nuggets? Do you ever just pick up basketball and screw around with the guys?
No.
Okay. I figured you didn't.
Well, let me tell you a story. We're in Los Angeles a handful of years ago, and it was when Timofey Mozgov was on the team.
Okay.
And we're like and he used to call me Faja because everybody said, Mozzie, he looks like your dad, right? So he started calling me Faja. I see him today. If we get him on the podcast, hey, Faja. So we're there, and I don't know, we're talking mess and stuff, and pick a ball up, and I shoot it. Oh, here you go. I said, well, let's go. So we're going to play some one-on-one.
Okay.
Now I can't make a shot. Now I ain't played in like 9 months. I can't make a shot. But I'm guarding him. He's on the baseline. Now, Timothy Mozgov, he's like 7'1", 275, 80 pounds. And I said, he's going to head fake. He's going to expect me to jump, and he's going to drive baseline. Can't fool me.
Can't fool the old buck.
I was just 35-minute average a game playing-wise to being an all-defensive player. So here it comes. Head fake. I stay down. Drive the baseline. Got him.
Did you just stuff that all sorts of nasty?
No, my head knew exactly what he was going to do. My leg wouldn't move. And Timothy Mozgov, at 7'1", 285 pounds, drove right by me and laid it up. And I went, I swear, I'm not, when I'm playing a game.
Right.
I swear I knew exactly what he was going to do. He faked, and my right leg was like, and I couldn't get it over to get time, even though I knew it was coming.
Right.
So right there, that's the last time I said, you know what? Scott will not step on the court in any type of meaningful way against NBA players.
Did you call game right there? Game. That's it. We're done.
No, I did Rodney Dangerfield in Caddyshack. My arm.
Yeah. I got a dead leg. I don't know. Something's going on.
Something's wrong.
It's twitching. See, now you know what we rec players feel like. Because I can at least relate to that of, coming running down one time and thinking, all right, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that. You don't even do A. The hell with B. You can't even do A. Like you said, it's just you feel yourself going in slow motion. Like
Right.
the saddest part for me, I played a lacrosse game a couple years ago at the age of 42, and the only time I felt fast was when I was running into the wind and it was actually blowing into my helmet like once upon a time.
So it made you feel
Yeah. This is what it was like when I was fast.
I wish I had long hair.
Yeah. So it's just so sad. I feel bad for you.
Last time I played a rec game, and we had a bunch of guys, and basically it was go there, play a game, and then go have beers and whatever, dinner, and go home. And also I'm playing this rec game. And listen, I played in a different era.
Sure.
Than you play now. It was we'd like to call it a more physical era. And I'm probably 38, 39, something like that, 20 years ago. And all of a sudden, poof, bam, poof, I just want to run down and get a little sweat and shoot some jump shots. And all of a sudden, I'm getting pummeled by this 6'5" kid, about 180 pounds, sitting there throwing elbows at me.
Showing you he could have been something?
Yeah, showing me he could have been something. So now, all of a sudden, 1990 Scott flashes back. All of a sudden, I'm 30. I ain't 39. I ain't 38. I'm 30.
Right.
And now worse, the 30 mentality came out. So now, he goes, I said, okay, boom. I get him on a rebound, throw him down to the ground, go down the other end. I get the ball. Now I know he's PO'd at me, and he's going to try to just block my shot. I turn around, fake. He jumps up in there. I put my shoulder, my elbow. I start him at the belly button. I drag the whole part of it up through his face, knocks him on the ground, and he gets a foul. I lay it up, get an and one. I stand up, and I put my arm around the kid, and I said, listen, how old are you, 23, 24? He goes, 19. I was a year lucky, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, 19. I go, listen, if you all make it to 20, you have to quit doing this. He said, I said, I'm not bragging, but I made a living beating up guys a lot bigger than you. You have to quit this. And I had my arm around him, talking to him in his ear like that. Funny thing, I was doing the radio show with Dave then, and he actually called. I told the story of the show. So the story had been out in a while. He called the show. He goes, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he got me. But and he was cool after that. But I mean, he was just. And so after that, I didn't want guys to think, okay, this is my NBA. And two, I didn't like going back to that person. That was an ugly person.
Right.
I mean, I'm very serious. I mean, you can't imagine as pretty as I am. That was Dr. Hyde coming out.
Did you play angry? I've never asked you that.
I was, honest to God, Mr. Jekyll and Dr. Hyde. I honestly was. I was, hey, look at my arm. I can,
You're right.
Hey, pull my finger. I was that guy.
Right.
Off the floor. And
but on the floor.
When I got on the floor, especially in the pros, when I got on the floor, dude, you better prove that you belong here. Now I got stuffed in my face and beat up as much as I ever did anything, but I took it super serious that just because your name's Patrick Ewing, you're not going to beat me. I know you're better than me. You're more athletic. You're all American, all whatever. I said, but you can't play harder than me. So I always had a mentality: no one played harder than me when I played, and so if I thought they did, then I'd hit them. Slow down.
Okay. I got no problem with that. I just was always kind of curious. It's funny, and I thought of you as I had him on not Brock Lesnar. Who's the cat, the MMA guy that lives here, went to Mines? I always forget his name. Shane Carwin.
He lives in Houston now, I believe.
Does he?
Yeah.
So I had Shane on my show one time back on KOA, and I remember talking to him about MMA. And again, you probably understand this better than I did, but to me, here's the problem with the fight game. I got to be mad at you or not like you for I guess for me to go there, to really want to punch you or something. Right. You know what I mean? So I asked him, I was like, do you get mad? What do you do when you get in there? He's like, oh, I don't get mad. Getting mad's like the worst thing you can do. Well, you look surprised. I'm surprised you look surprised. He's like, I gotta be there. I gotta be in my mind. I gotta be playing the chess match. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a chess match. Plus, you're getting punched. But I guess it was a chess match too. But he's right in the sense that you didn't go into a game and then expect to go here.
Right.
I tried to go into a game here anyway, to be honest with you. So nothing was going to set me over the top. I was going to take care of business if I needed to. So I guess that's what he's talking about. You got to come. And that's why teams in the NBA, and listen, you know me for a long time, and I've said this forever, all sports are the same. I mean, the X's and O's different. You got 11 guys on football, and you got 9 guys here. Okay, fine. But the mentality of a real athlete, of a guy that's playing all these sports, never changes. It's all the same. And when you see teams go out and you go, how does the Avs lose to pick a bad team this year, Vancouver or something?
Sure.
Because guess what? They knew it was a bad team. And so they, instead of playing here, which when the Avs, for example, the Denver Nuggets, same way, play here, they're pretty damn good. Could beat anybody in the league. But when they just come down, and it doesn't take much. Some teams, it could be a drop of, this much. Others, hey, man, listen, it's L.A. We go out. I got in at 3 o'clock last night. Man, I'm going to take the first half off and rest. Next thing you're down, you're 22, and you ain't going to win the game.
No.
It's
done. What were you bring up L.A., what were some of the toughest spots to play? And I only bring this up because, well, there's no sports going on. And this isn't an all-sports podcast anyway. But I am kind of curious, like the Avs. We'll take the Avs, for example. They notoriously have a trip every year, if not a couple times a year, where it's like cold back here. They go to California, and they don't ever play well. No matter San Jose, L.A., Anaheim, doesn't matter if they're good or not. They just kind of crap the bed, right?
Well,
is there something about playing in the city? Is there something about getting in the warmth? I mean, is that part of the mental grind of being an athlete?
Yeah, and I think it's both, to be honest with you. I think one thing, when you're a cold weather team,
right,
and for us, some places, Phoenix, it seemed like with the teams when I played in the Eastern Conference, you struggle in Phoenix because, especially when you're in Detroit, New York, even a little bit. I only played them for a couple months, but you're getting that cold, and then you go in the sun. Dude, I remember one time in Detroit, we went to Miami. Now, Detroit was smart. We played one time in Miami on a Tuesday. They flew us in there Sunday. So go out and have fun.
Get it over with, right?
We'll practice tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. We had we got in. We left early on a Sunday. Had all afternoon, played golf on Sunday afternoon. And then Monday you had a practice, then you had off. By the time I got in the game, I was so sunburnt. That white boy pink,
yeah.
Which ought to
where
be
you're going to be in trouble.
White boy pink. I had the white boy pink going on. In fact, I got elbowed in that game right on the ribs, right in here. And when I took my jersey off, because took your jersey off, it hurt because of sunburn. I had little white diamonds where the pattern of the jersey was in my sunburn, right? It went right through there. But yeah, I think sometimes some of it's a cold thing. I think there's some notorious towns, and I don't know all of them in NHL because there are some Canadian towns. I would assume that you might struggle in one or two up there also. But, New York, people tend to go out a lot. L.A., people tend to go out a lot. Miami's turned into that place now. Atlanta, believe it or not, is one of those places as well.
See, so the Tim Tebow game, remember that in Miami? The Tim Tebow first start on the road in Miami? I can remember going to that game, and I mean, we were on, and and our buddy Mark Schler told me the last time the Broncos got their butts kicked with Vance Joseph, they were there too. Like, we're talking a beachside resort. You walk out of the hotel, and you're on the beach is where you're staying. And I'm just like, dude, and again, it was John Fox, so we go in Friday because that was his thing. And so you're staying there. I remember listening to a Buff game on the beach, just chilling and going, dude, if I were a player, there's no way I'd be thinking about playing a football game tomorrow. You know what I mean? Because it was like late October. It was one of those trips where you're like, oh, thank God we're out of the cold. It's actually nice. It feels like spring again, It just
and you've never been like a heavy partier, but then you got South Beach. So you head over there about evening, have dinner over on South Beach, and then every bar is open till 4 a.m.
Well, you know how it is in Miami. We didn't even go to South Beach. We simply just went to the bar. There was a bar strip wherever we were, like near Venice Beach or something.
That's in California.
No, okay. Well, I don't know where the hell we were. All I know is there were plenty of bars open, and they were dead. I was positive that I was in Miami. Huh? Yeah, because I had some decent fish. And then I'll never forget the game because I might have told this on the podcast already. Forgive me if I have, but I just remember standing at the Dolphins logo after they won that stinking game. And I remember part of me is a little crushed because I'm like, well, there goes Andrew Luck. Crap. Because I really wanted Andrew Luck. And I'm standing at the Dolphins logo, and you've done this drill as the sideline guy, and I'm standing with Daniel Fells, who I knew a bit because he played he knew my brother because of one of his teammates at Cal Berkeley. They played basketball together. And so Daniel was a little more honest with me than other players. And I'm waiting for Dave to throw down, and I go, Daniel, what just happened? And he looks at me and goes, Andy, I got no idea how the hell we won that game.
That was one. The one
the overtime.
End. But it was the one tight end made that.
He's the one that caught it. It's Daniel Fells.
Okay.
And if you remember, I've never seen this. I wish I had a football nearby because I'd do it for the Facebook camera. Dude, Demaryius Thomas caught the game-tying touchdown. Like, he stabbed both ends of the football. He, kept his feet in at the cone at the corner of the end zone, and I was, 5 feet from the dude stabbed both points of the football to catch the football. Because it was like a Frisbee. And I was like, that's the most, aside from the foot control, I can't believe you caught the football. He just went, ah. I mean, it was so stupid. They had no point in winning that game, and here we are, And as much as Tim
that started that whole season.
Well, yes, that's where the magic came from that point forward. And dude, it was amazing. I don't have to tell you, but I tell people, if people knew how upset from Orlando Franklin to Eric Decker to Wesley Woodyard, dudes were so mad Tim was in the game because, you remember, for 3 quarters, nothing, not a thing was going right. Orlando Franklin and Big O, don't get mad at me for telling this story. He comes over to the sideline and, fires his helmet, skips under the bench like I had to get out of the way like a soccer ball coming. And he's like, 15, you better throw the ball or I'm going to let him kill you. I ain't got all day to hold him. And he's, it's big old snorting fire Orlando Franklin. And I was like, oh, man, what are we doing? What are we doing? And then they win the game. And then it was 10 straight like that?
Yeah.
Where would you put that as most? 2007 Rockies, 2011 Broncos. Which was probably more ridiculous in your mind of just everything going right to get a win?
Wow, that's a good question. Listen, the 2007 Rockies and the run they went on, and you've said it 100 times. I've said it. You may never see a run like that.
No.
You may never see a run like that. But what people forget to in that run was, and listen, people got excited with the inaugural season. People got excited when the All-Star game came here and stuff like that. But that run from being out of it to play a game 163, right? Was that the 163? And then winning it the way they won that one, that put them, to me, on the map. That to me gave, okay, there's legitimate Rockies fans, not just, hey, look, we got a new toy. Let's play with our new toy. Squirrel.
It wasn't your kids' team anymore,
No,
right? We were like proud parents of that first Rockies
exactly,
squad.
and that became that. Now Tebow just became a phenomenon, and now what we lose sight of now, worldwide, Tebow's was bigger.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
yeah.
I mean, you remember when he was doing the TV, you had dudes, I mean, and now you got this guy's challenge and this guy's challenge. You know, one of the very first ones I ever remember on social media was doing the Tebow.
Yeah.
You know, people sitting down there.
The Tebow.
Doing the Tebow. I mean, seriously, that's one of the very first worldwide. I mean, I saw videos of dudes in Italy and all over Japan.
Actors, politicians, some musicians, right?
Unbelievable.
He was a celebrity among celebrities. And he made football fun again.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much. He made football fun again. Put Denver back legit because they got hammered in New England that game in Foxborough in the playoffs. But hell. And again, they beat Pittsburgh in a Tebow way.
Oh, man.
You know, first pass in overtime goes 80 yards or whatever. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. You know, so that was Tebow's thing became. I mean, that became a world a world thing, right? I
right.
mean, it did, didn't it?
Yeah.
But the Rockies became. I thought the Rockies became a legit member of the sporting community in 2007.
Yeah, I would agree. I've always tried to answer the question because, again, for people that maybe don't understand the question, everything went like it was unbelievable. I still remember the Chicago game where Marion Barber runs out of bounds for no reason. Yeah, just die down. They don't have it. And then Matt Prater's like bombing kicks from 60 consistently, 57 in cold weather. I mean, it was just so stupid. But Jason Hirsch, we'll have to get Jason Hirsch on the podcast with us one time because he doesn't have much going on either. Jason will tell you, he will look you dead in the eye, and I've known Jason for a while now. He will tell you if the 2007 Rockies don't have the week layoff, if it's just 2 or 3 days, he's convinced they end up beating Boston. He said the week was too much and
9 days.
They just snapped out of it. Whatever it was, just snapped out of it.
Yeah, cooled the funk.
Have you ever been in one of those zones? Like, did the Bad Boys, your Piston team, maybe it was one of your Heat teams, were you ever on a team where just everything was right?
Well, yes and no. I was on one of those teams that lost the first 18 games to start the season, so that was kind of like that. Except it would be the yang.
Yeah.
It'd be the yang to that yin, right? So the universe gave you the 2007 Rockies, and the yang gave you the 96 Miami Heat. But somebody tied it. You know, this is me too. People say, "Oh, you want to be known for that?" Yeah. It's in the record book, and somebody tied it. It's like 18 straight losses
Who
to start
did that?
a season.
Was it Philly?
I thought it was.
Was it a 7? Okay.
I think it was the Clippers, but I don't know. But I mean, think about it. And that's the game we beat was the Clippers. To snap that streak was the Clippers game. But I mean, think about that. 18 games without a win.
Well, so can you what was your longest win streak before I asked this question?
God, I don't know. I think double figures here.
Here's what I'm getting at. Like, you endured something brutal like the Lions did, right? The 0-16 Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wonder what
I was on a 15-win NBA team, yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, in 82. 15.
So where do you think the pressure's greater? When you're losing to finally win something, or like the Broncos? Because Stink has told us about, and he said it in the America's Game documentary, where he said when they finally lost, and you were calling the games then, you were in the booth then, when they finally lost to the Giants.
And I knew they were going to lose to Miami the next week after they lost.
See, he did too. What is it about? Because he said that everyone was just like, oh, finally, we don't have to hear about it anymore. Have you lived with something like that where you're just so happy it wasn't being brought up anymore?
I've said it's throughout history, and it doesn't matter the sport. Whenever you see a team come off a giant win streak, they'll lose 2 in a row, 3 or 4. Because you take a deep breath. Remember we said a while ago, you're playing, you need to play here. Also, you get beat, the pressure of keeping it up, the quality of game that you've put together for whatever that streak is. So you take what I call a deep breath. Well, now it's okay. Let's go back. We got to get back. Let's kick it over. Let's kick it. Everybody said, let's start another streak. But the intensity's here.
Yeah.
And you forget it was here. And it's kind of like the Nuggets went through it this season. I mean, they're playing really good going into the break and playing undermanned. I mean, they're beating the best team in the league in Milwaukee with 7 dudes that have played. 8 dudes have played.
Avs are doing the same thing, right? Like both teams found a way to overcome adversity, then just kind of slept on games we thought they should have easily, right?
Well, and then what happened for the Nuggets? Guess what happened? A 9-day break.
Yeah.
All-Star game. And also, okay, let's make a stretch run. And you go, because I contend this, they played hard, but they've played. Their mind is here. The longer I live and the more I'm around sports, it's the mental. Every team's going to have talent.
Right.
Now a team might have a LeBron, or a team might have a Nathan McKinnon, or a team may have, that special guy, a Kobe Bryant, or there's always those guys. But every team has talent. I mean, look at Las Vegas did. Now the NHL did them a nice favor. I mean, listen, Miami, you had to put X number of people up for expansion draft, and once they took one, you pull them all off, and they were 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 guys. Dude, you were having frontline guys in the NHL draft eligible when Vegas came out. All of a sudden they win whatever.
Yeah.
Led the West in points that year, didn't they, or something like that?
Right, because they're a bunch of cast-offs. Remember, again, going back to Stink.
Cast-offs.
Right, but Stink talked about that with that first 97 team. You probably may have heard it or picked up on it where he said, you know what, a lot of us were guys. Terrell Davis is a 6th-round draft choice. He's a cast-off. Habib's a cast-off.
Zimmerman came out of Minnesota.
He came out of Minnesota. Alfred was considered a bust. Alfred Williams was considered a little bit of a bust in Cincinnati. He comes. Ed McCaffrey wasn't running.
Smith, you're not good enough anymore.
Yeah, Tom Nalen got drafted in a round that doesn't exist anymore. Shannon Sharp was a whatever. I mean, it was just a bunch of guys who were like, you know what, all right, we ain't good enough. We'll show you.
That was a special team. I was going through my basement cleaning out stuff, and I found the championship football from that year, the white sides and all this stuff. Boy, you forget how good they were.
Oh, we talked about it on the last. Well, they probably haven't heard that. We'll post the episode coming up here. Although by the time you hear this, you'll have heard that. But anyway, never mind my broken brain.
We've talked about it.
But you're right. I mean, when you really think about Terrell, see, that was why we were having that discussion about the great teams. Terrell Davis, Shannon Sharp, John Elway, Gary Zimmerman, Howard Griffith, which, I mean, really one of the best fullbacks I've ever seen. I still remember the one-handed snag in Pittsburgh. Steve Atwater, we could go on. And Alfred Williams is another one. You just go on and on with the guys. Neil Smith.
Tony Jones was playing right tackle and eventually moves over to play left for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, when Zim decided he wanted to stay at Sturgis and didn't want to come home no more. But then I go back to the Avs. You go back to that 96 Avs team where you had Joe Sakic and Peter Forsberg and Milan Hajduk and Rob Bork and Ray Bork, Rob Blake, Adam Foote, Patrick Watt. I mean, Denver's got itself. They've
had some stars.
We got a nice little sports history here, don't we?
Well, it's funny. I was talking about 95, 96 because remember that was the year that the Red Wings. Now, think about this. I don't even know if you remember. They won. This is the NHL. 62 hockey games.
Yeah.
Won.
62 and 20.
Hockey games. So think about that. I mean, first of all.
That's filthy.
And then who'd they lose to in the playoffs?
The Avalanche. Darn right.
That right there, that to me, and we talked about it because we were talking about now with no TV and altitude television is going to have basically started tonight. Nuggets game, Avs game, Nuggets game, Avs game, some throwback games, some great games from this year, some great games from the last couple years. I know in the Nuggets they have, like in the works, they're going to try to bring like that Game 5 in 94 when they beat Seattle. They're going to try to bring that game and some other stuff like that. So they're going to do some cool stuff. And so some actually was a texter they called in or texted in and said, what would you like to see? And I said, I want to see that playoff series between the Avs Red Wings 95-96. I mean, I'd like to just go back and see that series. And was it as intense? Because it seemed like me that didn't the Avs win 4-1 or 4-2?
I think it was 4-2, but it was an angry series.
Right?
And you're right, it was 4-2. Remember, to our Red Wings fans out there. I'm not feeling too bad for saying this. Lemieux broke Draper's face at home.
But was it that?
That was the deciding game. Yeah, that was the one. That's what started all this.
I thought that was later.
No, that was first year Western Conference Finals up against the boards. Dino Ciccarelli, I can't believe I shook this guy's friggin' hand. And remember that was Game 6 because Game 7 would have been in Detroit. And then the next year you got all the bloodbath in Detroit and all that. Mike Keane and Ricci and I miss
that.
I miss a good sports angle. For those that think I'm the meathead, it's not that I'm a meathead. I just love knowing I'm a bit of a meathead. It's just that I just love knowing, like kind of like you said though, going back to some of your competitive days. I know you're giving me all you got, and I'm still better than you are. And even as a fan, I love knowing Detroit is bringing it. Don't be whining about this series. You got no excuses when this is done. We beat you because you want to kill us as bad as we want to kill you, and I like it when it's that way.
And I know you're old school, and you and I still look at the Raiders and can't stand them. And Mike Shanahan can't help to end that rivalry because he just pummeled them every time they played. But I still remember Lincoln Kennedy going up in the stands after a ball throw. Bosworth cheap shot in Elway. I mean,
I like it a little angry.
Kinder, gentler world.
But is it not more fun? Tell me, everybody out there, tell me that you weren't watching Pittsburgh and Cincinnati or Pittsburgh and Baltimore a few years ago when you knew everything was going to be played on the edge. It's funner that way. It's why the Avs Red Wings grew to the national fame.
It was unbelievable. I'll throw you out also because our good friend got into the Hall of Fame this year, Steve Atwater.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Your favorite player growing
up. My dude.
As a Bronco player, right?
My favorite all time.
You know what the cool thing was about his induction and as it got closer? Do you remember all the highlight packages that were put out on Steve Atwater? Did you not watch that and go, holy crap?
I
right?
I retweeted so many videos where I was just like, all right, that he might have killed a man.
Well, I was
Steve, you want to lay low for a while.
I was calling the playoff game, right? It was the AFC Championship game in Pittsburgh on that
Super Bowl, Green Bay.
No, I'm talking about the second to last play in the AFC Championship game, and he knocks Hilliard out, the cornerback.
That's the Super Bowl. He wasn't on the field for the final
Bay?
play. That was Green Bay.
That was Green Bay.
It was him, Brooks, and Hilliard.
Yeah, he knocks out Brooks.
All three.
Knocks out Hilliard and knocks himself out.
Yeah.
Dude,
because he came flying in. I mean, you want to talk about reckless abandon. You look at some of the sizes of the guys that he would hit, and I'll tell you what, he will tell you, Dennis Smith, every bit, he will
Dave
tell
Logan
you.
said the same thing. He said Dennis Smith even hit harder.
If you go back and watch, so I found a combo video of Atwater Smith highlights together. Dude, Dennis Smith, he hit Roosevelt Potts, a 250-pound back. It was like his Okoye hit, and we forget it. He broke the dude's face mask. Dennis, and I remember Steve telling me the story. It's the greatest story because Steve, I was talking to Steve about that hit. So Dennis just like Potts can't get up. His teammates are calling for the trainer, and I guess Steve goes over to Dennis. He's like, "Yeah, boy, you killed him. Yeah, boy." And Dennis like, "Just give me up. Just give me up." He goes, "I'm hurting a little bit, but I can't show it. Just get me to my feet." And I guess you'll see Steve grabs Dennis and gets him back because Dennis is like, "I ain't leaving this game. I got you." You know what I mean? I'm up, you're not. I win. Yeah. And I mean, Roosevelt Potts was a big boy.
Yeah.
I look.
Well, listen, Dennis wasn't like he was tiny. Now think about this. Dennis's safety mate in college was Ronnie Lott.
Yeah.
And his safety mate in the pros for most of the time was Steve Atwater. Do you think he made a couple duos?
Yeah.
Do you think those are two pretty good duos?
Well, and Steve will tell you he could do what he did because he could trust Dennis. I'll never forget, we talked about the Tebow game, and we didn't intend for this to be so much Broncos, but, here we are. That's what it is. It's like you're hanging out at a bar. Hopefully you feel that way. I got the bourbon back there. Yeah. Come on now. I was told.
Are you going to fix him on for the? Are we going to do the second part?
Yeah, we are. We ain't even near done.
Oh, I didn't know.
You better settle in. So I was told. Let's go back to the Tim Tebow game.
Right.
I was told by Jeff Legwall, Mark Schlereth, and one of the guys from the team. It might have been Demarius. One of the guys, maybe it's Decker. One of the guys told me. They knew Troy Polamalu tend to wander. For as great as he was, I don't think people understood. And Ryan Clark, who had sickle cell, could never come and play in Denver because it was a risk to his health.
Right.
Apparently, Ryan Clark was the one that kept Palomalu from going too far, like wandering too far to freelance. And on that Tim Tebow play, and I'm talking about this because of the relationship between safeties like Atwater and Smith, had Clark been there, I was told, he'd have got Palomalu back so he would not have cleared out the middle of the field for that slant route. But Clark wasn't there. Palomalu was sure it was going to be a run because, remember, they went play action on that play to Demarius, and Palomalu was way out of position. Like, I guess Mike McCoy was on the sideline, one of the dudes telling me just like holding his breath going, oh, we've got him, we've got to please nothing go wrong. You know what I mean? Like, you've probably been there where you're like, oh, it's going to work. Don't screw this up. Yeah, like Mike Shanahan knew that, if you remember the Super Bowl with Rod Smith. We got the audio where he goes, oh, touchdown, as soon as he saw the coverage. All he had to do was throw in, Rod catch it. So, sorry, I get too worked up. I miss sports. This sucks.
Yes, it does. You know, it's kind of funny, though. I'll tell you a funny story of Steve Atwater. And it was back when they were training camp in Greeley. And so we'd go up there and hang out for a day or two, and sometimes we'd spend the night up there and stuff. And you did actually save that drive. It was a hell of a drive.
It was.
But I was sitting there, and Jim Ryan was working with us. You know, he was working.
He was doing Gridiron Grill.
Yeah. And so, if you remember Jim played with the Broncos. He, played on one of the Super Bowl losing teams. I said, hey, where'd you get that ring? He said, oh, it's a second place ring. I said, second place? Yeah, it's AFC Championship ring. You only get this if you lose the Super Bowl. So, okay, cool.
He was in the drive game, I think. So he might have had two of them.
Yeah, he might have. And Jim played linebacker in the NFL. I mean, think about that.
And during the thumping days when they were running first.
I'm just going to let it sit there. He played linebacker in the NFL. So we're standing on the sideline back when you could stand up basically from me to the wall to the practice field and watch practice back there in Greeley.
We were right on the sidelines of the practice, right?
And Steve comes over to say hello to me because Arkansas guys and stuff, and probably knew Jim also. But I mean, and we go over and we're talking, boom, pound fist, talk Steve, baby, boom. Now he's playing, he's in the middle of his career. He walks up, you're Jim Ryan. I'm like this. I'm looking at Steve Atwater. Steve walks by and go, you played linebacker?
What did he say to you?
He goes, I said, dude, that safety's bigger than you. I go, I know. I was a little undersized.
I wasn't Carl Mecklenburg.
I mean, Steve Atwater, when he played, and now, you know what? Now he looks like a stately gentleman.
Yeah.
Like we all want to look.
Oh, and he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
In the world. But when he played, this dude was ripped, had forearms and biceps and shoulders. I mean, didn't even need to wear pads. And it's just, I'll be.
Well, I think I told you, Eddie tells a great story, Ed McCaffrey, of when he's playing with the Giants and he splits out on his route and he knows he's got to run and Steve's out there and he kept going, is that dude moving? He said, he's like, is that dude moving? That's a linebacker, right? He ain't. He's like, that's the safety? That's the safety. So he's like, oh crap. I got to go run right where Steve Atwater is.
Right at the focal points.
Wasn't that part of what made, and again, I don't want people to have CTE. I understand why they've got to teach the strike zone differently and all that stuff. I've got, look, you and I, one of our buddies, Jeff Putzer, is struggling with it bad, but I still think we got to find a better balance where defensive backs and safeties can strike. You've got to. It's the pro sports, is it not? You've got to earn that catch over the middle somehow.
There's two changes: one in the NFL, one in the NBA, and the NHL's gone a little bit away from it, but you'll still see it. But players used to be able to police their own, and you can't do that anymore. And you're right, the safety and the cleanliness of the game or whatever. I do understand. But I also understand for the NBA, and I'll stick there because I know, dudes pulling too much crap. I mean, talking too much spit out there on the court that they wouldn't do. I remember one time, I can't remember his first name, something Burton, and we're beating the Miami Heat. I'm in Detroit. We're beating the Miami Heat by 40 points. No, I'm not lying. We're beating them by 40. I'm in the game. And this dude comes down, gets a steal, goes in and dunks it, and starts doing all this stuff. I look over to Tree Rollins. It was 91 season. I look at Tree Rollins and said, first one that puts him down buys lunch. and back then the officials knew it too, and they had a respect for the game. And sure enough, he comes through the lane. They got me. He's a small forward. They got me on him. He comes in the middle trying to stuff again, and I just clothesline him. He jumps up there, and I don't even try to block his shot. I clothesline him and throw him to the ground. No whistle. Officials knew he was being cocky. You're getting beat by 40, and you're talking too much stuff. You just got policed.
Well,
he gets up, throws a punch at me as we're running down the court. I don't even see it. Call it technical. I get free throws.
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but that's a little bit like going across the middle. Man, listen, if the middle, and especially modern day football, and the one thing I liked about Josh Allen when he came back, or when he took over this year before Drew Lock got in there, the ball started
Brandon Allen.
Brandon Allen, yeah. I wish it was Josh Allen. But Brandon Allen, all of a sudden the ball started getting thrown in between the hash marks. And if you can control that part of the field, you can control the outsides too.
Right.
And he started throwing the middle, and all of a sudden the offense looked a little better. Now I know he was 1-3 or whatever it was, but dude, also hey, you got a guy who can throw there, and one has got to be earned a little bit. And now it should, if you can't throw it to the middle of the field with the rules they have now, it's no guy's going to get lit up anymore. Then you're wasting a third of the field, and that's been the Broncos the last 4 years.
That's why, I mean, we'll get into this more as we get closer to the draft. We're not going to go heavy draft nicks on you, and who even knows when the draft's going to be at this point? But do you go speed receiver? Do you go whatever?
Care?
Not honestly. Right now. I don't. You know
why? Right now, do you care?
No, because I will tell everybody this, and I know if some will say it's a sin. You know what? I'm interested. Okay, I'm interested. But, the draft is such a crapshoot. How many guys have been promised to be good? And not just Broncos, across the league.
Well,
how many first-rounders are getting cut this week?
I talked about it on the show today, or the last couple of days. You sign a guard.
Yep.
That a veteran guy looks like,
You know what I like? Has only missed 4 games in his career.
Can play.
There we go.
You sign a defensive tackle that's been in 5 straight Pro Bowls, averaged 5 sacks from the middle for over the last 5 years.
Best I could tell, only missed about 5 games in his career.
And now, and I told Ryan Harris, I did a show with Josh, and I said, and he's got a guy from Michigan to play center, because now they got 2 guards positions for the next decade maybe, or solid. He said this kid from Michigan, the center, is the best offensive lineman he saw play all year, and that's Notre Dame. I mean, they're playing USC and Michigan and Michigan State, and they're playing USC. They're playing big teams.
Ohio State.
They're playing big teams. I said I'd be fine with that. Now, the fan won't, because they still want sexy. The one fan still wants sexy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's great. But sexy don't always win games for you.
The Broncos don't need more sexy. They need more
How many
grit.
games have Emmanuel Sanders win for you the last 3 years?
Not enough. He got traded.
And
is it all on him? No, but
that's a sexy player.
Yeah,
and he thinks he's sexy.
Yeah, and he caught all the passes and all that. But again, you were still 5-11 and 5-11 and not making the playoffs.
Because think about this: over the last 4 years, we could even if Ryan doesn't ever watch this, we could go the last 5 years, because that offensive line in the Super Bowl wasn't any good.
Ryan will even tell you.
No, he tries to say he was great, but whatever. He got a Super Bowl ring. Did enough. But for the last 5 years, has there ever been a week gone by in talk radio that you didn't talk about the offensive line?
No.
And unfair or unfair, when you're talking about the offensive line, it's always that they sucked.
Well, think about it. It goes back to 2014. It goes back to the year in between the 2 Super Bowls, where they couldn't get it done against the Colts. They couldn't get a running game going. Remember how they had to go big, heavy set the last year of Adam Gase, the last year of John Fox, just to try to run the football? They went all run one time against Miami because, I know some people that thought that was Fox's little to John Elway for coming in there and saying whatever. John just wanted you to be more balanced. But anyway, it's you're right. We don't need more sexy.
So
we need a little brick and mortar.
But so now all of a sudden you said you got. Say you draft that center from Michigan. Okay, Ruiz is his name. So now you've got a guard, center, guard.
Yeah.
You're pretty solid.
Yep.
Now maybe you address something with the left tackle. I don't know. Or maybe
I would.
Or how about this? If you're going to address the tackle, there's two guys that I've read about in the draft that are starters right now at left tackle, but they're going to be gone probably in the top.
Trade
10.
up, then trade up.
Then trade up. And
you got 100 extra picks.
But either way, if you could in free agency and the first round draft take care of 3 offensive line positions. Now, you got to give quarterbacks talent. You got to. I mean, think about this. Brady's defense this year in New England was one of the best defense he's played with in a long while.
Right.
Offensive line was actually pretty good this year.
Dante Scarnecchia was still there.
And guess what they didn't have?
Nobody could get open.
They had no special.
No playmakers.
Yeah, no playmakers. Look, thank you.
You do need speed on this team, but to your point, people have to understand we got the signal of this. I really didn't think we'd go this route, but it's okay. We got signal that things aren't going to look like last year when Andy Janovich got traded. I'm still not in love with the idea. I think that's a good football player. I'd keep a good football player on my team, and that wasn't a big contract.
Because there wasn't a lot of them last year.
No, but whatever. So the fact that he's gone tells me, and I've talked to our buddy Jeff who says, look, Pat Shurmur's a 3-wide offense. Well, what got Mike McCoy fired? What got Vance Joseph fired? The 3-wide offense that you couldn't block. So you do have to have some good on the tackle, and you better replace Garrett Bowles. Garrett Bowles is not, I don't mean to pile on the kid. Deep down, I don't think Garrett Bowles is a bad guy. But again, dude, you can't show me that you can learn from your holdings. And everybody has said they've tried to tell you. John Elway says he's not even sure you know what a holding is. And so you can't go 3 wides in an offensive set if you're not going to do something better on your tackles. Period. Right?
There you go.
All right.
Move up and draft the guy then.
That was a heavy sports edition.
I don't need sexy.
Well, neither one of us is sexy.
Because eventually, you know what sexy grows into? Curlers in the hair and floppy pink fuzzy shoes.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
An avocado face mask.
And TB12 water.
Sexy always turns to that.
Hey, man.
You have no idea what I'm talking about.
No, I've got things I want to say, but I'm editing myself as we go, so I'm not going to do it.
That's the first time.
Trust me. I got plenty to say. I just probably shouldn't. Anyway, all right, that was a sports-heavy edition of the Zoo Crew Redo podcast. But you know what?
Off funny early.
Hey, man, we love you. Hey, what else you doing? We'll be back with a little bit more. Keep following us. Find us on Spotify, iTunes. Subscribe to the podcast link. You can take this nonsense. It means that as soon as we put it up, you'll know there's a new episode and you can listen to it in your car.
You know what the subscriptions used to mean to me?
That you had to pay for something?
Yeah.
No, this is free. All we want you to do is basically follow. Hit follow.
Let's be honest.
Ain't nobody paying us to do this.
But really.
Although, really, I mean, if you wanted to, we could talk about a few things. Here, you talk for a second.
Okay, what do you want me to talk about? We're in Andy's basement. We told you that to start the thing. And instead of ending the podcast, Andy has decided to get up and walk around.
What we're going to do is, we like to thank some of our sponsors, like possibly Stranahan's Whiskey.
Stranahan's, thank you very much. A very good Colorado company.
Our friends at 10th Mountain up in Vail. We love you guys.
10th Mountain, thank you. Named after a great branch.
Hey, if you're down in the Springs, make sure you don't miss
Springs?
291's Bad Guy. That's a special edition.
291 Bad Guy. Can we call this real bourbon, though?
Oh, yeah.
I thought bourbon had to be made in Kentucky.
No. If you like, that one won an award. If you're in the Fort Collins area, don't forget our friends at Old Elk.
Old Elk. Hey, nothing's better or tastes meatier than Old Elk.
And one of the cool guys that you've ever met up in Estes Park, our friend McShann Walker making his grandpa Pappy's Alabama recipe, the Elkins Distillery is up there in Estes Park.
Elkins.
And finally, you can't go wrong with a little Breckenridge Distillery. So yeah, anybody want to sponsor this thing, please.
Please. And while we're at it, Dickie's Fine Barbecue.
No, we got GQ.
Oh, GQ. Oh, sorry.
GQ Barbecue, Jason Gano.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we're going to end this. Subscribe and do all that stuff. It doesn't cost you anything. Thanks for tuning in.
Did that get too much for you?
No, that's fine.
Oh, my God. You want to do another one, or you think that's good for now?
I don't care.
You want to do something a little more funny? My neighbor's texting me, oh, it sounds good. I want to come down.
Tell him to come over. that the police guy?
Yeah.
Send him to come over. Tell him to come to the back door. Oh, Julia Rose, I need it.
That was about $400. I wouldn't recommend it because it talks and shit. Ask her if it sounded okay.